Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours, a music podcast where we chat to a new guest each week, talk about their life and creative endeavours, and talk to them about some of the music they love. Our show works by chatting to our guests about music, their songwriting techniques, and occasionally getting them to make you a playlist of the songs they love. Welcome to episode 203. I'm your host, Simon Fink. Our guest today is Sly Withers. The loveable indie punk band from Perth are releasing their incredible 3rd studio record today, which is entitled Overgrown. In today's episode, we're welcoming Sam and Jono back to the pod to discuss the expansion of the band's sound, the success of Gardens, and touring with bands that they love. Here we go. Our guests today are the 2 co-frontmen of Perth indie punk band Sly Withers. Following on from the success of their brilliant Gardens record from last year, they're able to finally complete their huge Australian tour with Teenage Jones and Noah Dillon earlier this year. Now, today, they're releasing their 3rd studio record, Overgrown. Please welcome back to This Song Is Yours, Jono and Sam from Sly Withers. Gentlemen, hello once again.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are both of you?
Yeah, doing well. Doing well.
You all right? Yeah.
That's good to hear. Good to hear both of you keeping well since we've last spoke, I think a year ago or so.
Yeah. Sorry, we're very early morning vibes at the moment. We're just getting in the swing of things.
I can very much appreciate, for those listening to the podcast, there is a time difference between Adelaide and WA, and I appreciate the fact that you guys are up quite early to chat to us, so it is appreciated. I actually do have a little token of appreciation. I know that obviously we spoke a few times last year in the lead up to Gardens, and at the time you were our first guest on the podcast that had come back for a second time. In the name of Trailblazing, once again, you're the first guest to come back a 3rd time.
Hell yeah.
I think that Skinny, your manager, I believe, should have a box there with one of you.
We've got bags.
Are we opening them now?
Yeah,
Are we
please go
opening?
for it. Yeah.
Been so intrigued by this.
Please know it is nothing of great worth.
Oh my God, Simon.
Oh, wow.
What the hell?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This is the coolest thing I've ever received. This Song Is Yours podcast 3rd time members club, Sam Blivich, Sly Withers. Yeah.
This is awesome.
We thought it would be fun. I also have to do a very quick disclaimer. You'll be the only 3rd guest that gets this. No other artists after this. It's just the fact that it's the first time.
It's a pleasure to receive the honour.
No, look, thank you again for your time. It is a very exciting time for the band, and I want to get to the new album, Overgrown, in a second. But if it's all right, I want to kind of talk about the end of Gardens and the success that saw, because we spoke just before it came out, and then obviously it's been quite a year for you guys since. Firstly, let's talk about, I think it was number 10 on the ARIA album charts, which was massive. It was in the top 5 albums of the year at the end of the year for Triple J. The much coveted 69 spot on the Triple J Hottest 100. Were you guys surprised by the success of Gardens and how big it became and was?
Absolutely.
Definitely, yeah, not what we expected to happen. And things sort of just kept trickling along. I expected after the first thing happened, which I think was getting feature album, I was like, surely that's the last cool thing that's going to happen with this, and then it was sort of just one thing after another. We got pretty lucky for a while there.
Was that the same for yourself, Sam?
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really like every time something new happened. Yeah, every time something new happened, it was like, yeah, as Jono said, we always thought that the current thing was the coolest thing that was going to happen, and then suddenly a couple weeks later, something wild would pop up, and be like, oh my god. Then voted us number 5 in the Triple J album poll or whatever, and charting, like getting in the ARIA charts. That's just like, what is that? How did that happen? How did people let this happen? You know, it was wild.
I think it is very well deserved. I know that the Gardens tour itself also just kind of took on a whole life of its own as well. I feel like every time you'd see the poster, it would just have new dates added, new kind of shows everywhere. I know that there was a few issues with that in terms of the dreaded COVID, but how was it that after you guys finally got to kind of take the album on the road and complete the tour?
I remember those being like some of the best shows that we've ever played. I think like in terms of the people that were along with us on that tour, like it was just such a great group of people to take around the country. And just like the rooms were great and the crowds were great. So yeah, I think it was something that we had to wait for a bit, but then when we finally got to do all those shows, it was definitely worth it.
The tour itself was brilliant. For those of you who didn't catch it, you will get a chance to see Sly Withers again into a little bit, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. But we are here today, and the tour is in place of the new album, Overgrown, which is coming out today when this podcast is released. Congratulations, guys. This is a huge record, a beautiful record.
Thank you, mate. Really appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
we're pretty proud of it. We're pretty stoked.
As you should be. This is the third record from you guys. It is I want to say it's like another step forward for the band, because sonically it's sounding even big. I didn't think it was possible, but it's sounding even bigger than Gardens. It sounds like you guys have really pushed the envelope on what you want Sly Withers to do and can be. And I want to know, firstly, I guess, there was a bit of time between the first album and second album. It's only been a year or just over a year since. What was going on in terms of getting this album out now and giving the fans what they want, I guess?
We just pushed hell hard, hey. Like, yeah, we like just kind of like, I think it was like maybe even like November last year when we had a conversation with our label, and they were like, how do we feel about recording the next album in February? And we were in the middle of like trying to finish that perpetual never ending tour, and we were just like, oh my god, that's a lot. And then we just kind of bought a bunch of demo gear and started, like, me and Jono just like spent every weekday just like demoing songs and just pushing it as much as we could. And yeah, it kind of like landed in a pretty nice little spot, I'd like to think.
Is that the same for you, Jono?
Yeah, definitely. I think like some of the songs, or like at least ideas for some of them, had been kicking around from when we were doing the recordings for Gardens as well. So it sort of felt like a never-ending process that we were just still working on those songs. And then, we kind of had to hustle it a bit to get the studio time all wrapped up and done, but still managed to take our time with it and really like give everything the proper shot that each song deserves. So I think, it was a really good process this time of how we got through it.
The record is, as I mentioned, sounding sonically like a step forward for the band. I know that you worked with Dave Parkin, or Parko, who has worked with artists like Spacey Jane in the past. What was this process like, I guess, having someone new to the Sly Withers recording process involved?
It was like a really eye-opening experience working with Parko. Like, he sort of takes on the role as like another member of the band, so he's really working with you from the songs like inception to its like finished form, and he's sort of just like the extra man in the room, but he has such a good brain for like pushing you to do things that you wouldn't normally try. And I think that's what led to the album sounding the way that it does, is that we just had that time with him to like go on tangents, and if you spend half a day on something and it ends up sounding stupid, then it doesn't matter. And we just didn't have that luxury last time to really kind of like experiment and fuck around a bit, I guess.
Yeah, it was the first
100%.
time that we. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say it's the first time that we've ever gone in and like worked on the songs as we went. Every other recording we've ever done, the song has been like basically completely finished, and we go in and like the things that will change might be like tones or like maybe a small lead part or something, but nothing structurally ever changes. Whereas with Parko, we kind of sat down and like tore every song apart from the inside and kind of reassembled and did a lot of like talking about like what does the record need and how can we achieve that with this song or whatever, like we were really working on the songs the whole time as opposed to just recording them.
100%. I was curious. I know that we've spoken about this songwriting method in the band between the two of you. And I guess, I was going to ask with this third record, whether that changed, whether it was more, maybe not even collaborative, but whether that previous kind of formula was tweaked to create some of these songs.
I would say, it was definitely more collaborative, especially in the early stages before we went into the studio. It was the first time that me and Sam had properly, like just the two of us, sort of done rough demos of everything from the beginning. So I think just from working on the songs together instead of previously it would be one of us has a finished song or semi-finished song, take it to band does it, and then the demo comes out of that. Whereas this time it was just me and Sam sort of working on the ideas from the beginning and doing the demos at home, which gave us some more time to sort of sit with them and make adjustments as we went before we even got to the studio. And then with Parko, just that having him collaborate on the inside of that as well was like super beneficial for everything that we created.
The record is definitely experimenting with like a few different sounds. I want to say there's a little bit more, there might have been on previous records, but I feel like the sound is a little bit more prominent. There's acoustic guitars on Tongue. I want to talk about Don't Want to Leave in a second as well. But I guess in terms of sonic experimentation, Sam, was it something that you and Jono tried out and pushed, or was it something that you guys would just discover in the studio when you were playing around and kind of making the songs work?
Yeah, I think we went in really wanting to make things sound more lush and more pretty from the get-go. Like we always loved acoustic guitars. Like acoustic guitars are like how we like came up playing together when we were like busking and stuff outside of cafes and stuff when we were like 16. But just having that layer in the actual recording was a super cool thing to do. And then there's obviously there's strings and there's a bunch of piano and then there's even timpanis on one song. Sampled timpanis, not live real timpanis. We don't have the Coldplay budget yet, but we'll work on that. And there's a bit of synth as well. Yeah, it's just like we definitely wanted to push things. We definitely wanted to.
It took a lifetime to find the person you want to marry. Finding the perfect engagement ring is a lot easier. At BlueNile.com, you can find or design the ring you've always dreamed of with help from Blue Nile's jewelry experts who are on hand 24/7 to answer questions, and the ease and convenience of shopping online. For a limited time, get $50 off your purchase of $500 or more with code LISTEN at BlueNile.com. That's $50 off with code LISTEN at BlueNile.com.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
See where we could go. Like we've always had the heavy and the power in our sound, and I think we just kind of wanted to expand that out wider. If is that a good description, Jono? Is that what we did with the sounds?
Yeah, the acoustics especially, like I think once we heard them on, might have been Passing Through was the first track that had acoustics put on, and just the way that Parko recorded them, like they just form this like really nice layer that sits above everything, and like even when you don't really hear them, you're still like kind of aware that they're there. They're filling the space that exists in the song. So from then it was kind of like, after hearing it on passing through, we kind of wanted it on everything, like acoustics especially, because it was just this layer that like we couldn't really fill any other way. And I think that adds a lot to like that lushness of sound that Sam was talking about.
100%. I think that lush is a very good word to describe the album. Sam, a second ago you just mentioned Coldplay, the Coldplay budget. Last year we spoke about Your Like a Version. We spoke about Coldplay and their songwriting. And yeah, the track I wanted to discuss, I guess, a little bit more was Don't Want to Leave, where I feel that if, metaphorically speaking, if the two bands were to have a baby, this is what it would be, because it seems to blend the best of both in it. Starts out with piano, builds to this huge track. And I would love to know if you'll allow us to, I guess, a peek behind the curtain of the inception of the track and where it came from and the process behind making it.
Yeah, that one's a weird one. That's like, I think it was written over a period of like, maybe like I would write like a verse every 3 months or so for about 6 months or 9 months. I don't know how many verses are there, maths. But yeah, I initially started writing it. It was like, it's super cheesy and super embarrassing, but it was like the day I moved out of home and I was just like packing up all my things, leaving my parents' house for the first time in like 21 years or whatever. And I was just like super overwhelmed and like super emotional, having a bit of a moment. And I have this demo of me like putting the first verse down and I'm like kind of like uncontrollably sobbing while I'm recording it, which is a little bit of fun. But I think that the song kind of turned into more of just me kind of processing moving out of home and the relationship with the people in my house before and after and all those kinds of things. And like, yeah, a lot of introspection and stuff. But it was always just an acoustic song that we had, and then we were never really sure what to do with it sonically. And yeah, that kind of all came in the studio. I can't even really remember the decision-making process that went into it being like this like big chunk of acoustic at the start.
I remember being one that we weren't sort of entirely sure was going to make the cut, as like not make the cut, but would be one that we'd take to band before the recording started. It was just Sam had done the acoustic demo, which I had like set up with the demoing room stuff. And I think it was John from the record label said like, hey, you guys should try get some piano sound on this record. And I'm like, okay, John. So I had a piano set up here and I sort of just went along and figured out the piano part for it. And they were just the two parts that we left it as that until we got into the studio. So we had the piano and the acoustic, and then the band thing and the sort of like grandness of that came from working with Parko on that, and that like that sort of back half of the song was where the band sort of took over more and did everything.
It's definitely a brilliant track.
Yeah, and it's worth noting Jono's the one playing all the piano as well. I was just going to say Jono's playing all the piano on that, and the way he learnt it was like... Yeah, I'd say... Johnny, you were just playing along to the demo that I made of just me and the acoustic, right? And then...
figured it out. So I can play that song on piano, but nothing else.
And Jono's... And yeah, so Jono's process is super, everything's by ear. So it's like Jono uses a lot of open tunings on the guitar, but the piano just becomes the ultimate open tuned guitar because every note in the world is at your fingertips, which is why I think it gets that such a lush and melodic thing, because this guy over here is just trying to find every single note that sounds really pretty and like putting it in there and stuff. And then I think even like some chords and stuff got changed there, Joe, just because of little things you were finding in there, like really subtle changes to what I originally had, but just added like
just little things that I guess once I sort of learned it and was practicing it, it sort of just morphed into like a different part that we then had to like match the acoustic to and what the band was doing. But it was a really fun way to sort of go about making a song, because like I wouldn't normally have thought to use a piano as almost like, it was more just like making a lead line to go along with the song that ended up being like the main chord structure through it anyway. But yeah, it was a fun one.
I love that.
I don't know how many days we have in us.
That's incredible. Yeah, thank you both for sharing. I guess, does that mean, Jono, can we expect you to wheel out the piano or a keyboard while on tour next month and for the rest of the year?
I don't know if it'll happen on this tour. There's a conversation to be had around that, but I think the other good thing about that song is that we can do it without the piano if needed, and it takes on a different form. It would just be a different version of the song, but I think it would suit the live setting really well. But I think it would be a shame to never do the piano. So,
I'll begin to petition to due process to get that piano and timpani money so that we can get you guys the big Sly Withers orchestral show. That's the dream.
That is the dream.
Gentlemen, as
Absolutely.
I mentioned, you are going out on tour. You are going out on tour next month, I believe, with Moaning Lisa and with a number of other bands to promote the album. How are you feeling about getting back out there? And firstly, playing much bigger venues, might I add. We're definitely taking a step up from Gardens. These are much bigger rooms.
Theatre shows, yeah. A little scary, but
They are.
very excited.
Yeah, bit scary. No, it should be really fun. And Moaning Lisa is supporting most of the tour, and then we've got Madeira Green in Adelaide, which is a band we've wanted to play with forever. Our buddies Towns are flying over to Perth to play the big Perth show at the Astor Theatre, which is the scariest thing we've ever done. We'll see how that goes. And then Tyler Richardson from Luca Brasi is opening 2/3 of the tour, 3/4 of the tour, a decent portion of the tour. And that being a thing that is happening is the craziest fucking thing for us, because we grew up on Luca Brasi and we love that band and we love Ty, and we're so fucking excited that's going to be a thing. So yeah, it's going to be real special. Hopefully we sell enough tickets, but we'll see. Yeah, fingers crossed.
From what I've seen online, there seems to be quite a lot of people, myself and my friend, who've picked up our ticket for Adelaide for next week. So very excited about that. And from what I see, there's a lot of people going. So hopefully that is the case. I don't think you'll have an issue selling those tickets.
Fingers crossed.
When you have artists like Tyler opening up for you, or I guess anyone, because as I said, the band has taken that huge step up with Gardens. I feel like Gardens was one of the biggest Australian albums of last year. I've got it. Where is it? Got it sitting just there as well. A wall.
Sick.
Are you surprised that when other people in the industry, people that you grew up on, have kind of come and expressed their love, or do they want to kind of get involved with the band in whatever capacity that they can?
I think we've just met a lot of great people, and everyone that I've spoken to has always been extremely lovely about our music and how we do things, and I think it's cool that people are jumping on board and want to be more a part of it. So, Sam?
Yeah, it's super cool. I said before, but the fact that Ty is opening up so many of these shows is such a spin out, and it's such a fucking privilege, and it's just so cool that we found this kind of community of like-minded people around the country that we get to call our friends, and we get to have a catch up with every time we're in town or whatever. It's really lovely. We're super lucky. We're super fortunate, and it's just, it's nice to feel like everything's a big old love fest sometimes, because it can be hard on the road. So it's nice to have little people everywhere,
100%. I don't want to. I think you've hit the nail on the head, and I don't want to name it anything other than better. There is no name better than Love Fest, so I think I will leave it at that. Lastly, gentlemen, usually we would ask our guests what they're currently listening to. Jono, I'll let you go first if you'd like, and then Sam, we'll get to you after Jono.
What am I listening to at the moment? Actually sort of do a bit of a exploration through Taylor Swift's catalogue, which I haven't done in a while. So that new album's coming out. I believe it's out very close to this podcast coming out as well.
Yes.
So probably listening to more Taylor Swift then as well.
Very solid choice. Sam, what about yourself?
I've been I've been having a little bit of a Fontaines DC moment recently. a band that I like. It took me a while to like acquire the taste, and then the thing that kind of like cracked it for me was I was like, I don't think it's true, but I like to think it is, that they're kind of just like what Sly would be if we were poetry wankers from Dublin or whatever. And I think like that really helped me like get on the level with it. And now I'm like, rinsing a lot of Fontaines. Really excited for the new 1975 record. All the singles have been sick. I'm always kind of listening to them perpetually. This week I've been revisiting our album Overgrown so that I can do all these interviews appropriately and productively. But it's a bit of a busy time, so there's not a whole lot kicking around music wise, but probably like Fontaines and 1975 are the main things.
Well, look, all very solid choices, especially that last one, Overgrown, by the band Sly Withers, from the band Sly Withers. Jono and Sam from Sly Withers, thank you so much for joining us on the pod, and congrats on Overgrown, which is out today.
Thank you. And thank you for the Timers Club trophy. Thank you for the trophy. I haven't had a trophy since I was like sports kid.
Hell yeah. Thanks for having us, Simon.
And that's our show. A massive thank you to Sam and Jono from Sly Withers for their time. Overgrown is out now, and we've left links in the show notes if you'd like to buy the record or purchase tickets to their show. We also want to give a huge shout out to Shari at Great Company Collective for helping out with today's interview. If you like this show, please subscribe wherever you get your pods and stay up to date when new episodes are released. We release new shows each Wednesday and Friday morning, and we now have a Patreon, which you can find within the show notes of this episode. You can follow the playlist profile on Spotify, and you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Until next week, cheers.